There are certain encounters in life that have the power to reshape everything we know. These are moments so intense that time itself seems to pause. In that stillness, your eyes meet someone else's, and something inside you shifts. It's not logic, not reason. It's your heart recognizing a silent truth before your mind can catch up. It doesn't matter how far apart you are, how many barriers exist, or how much time has passed. When destiny speaks, there is a silent force that draws two souls together, like magnets moved by an invisible hand. This isn't coincidence. It isn't luck. It feels more like the resurfacing of a forgotten narrative, as if an ancient story buried deep within your being is rising again, bringing with it the echo of something timeless. What's happening goes far beyond fleeting passion or temporary attraction. It is the birth of true love. But not just any love. This is the kind of love that reveals itself only when you're inwardly prepared to see it, even if only on a subconscious level. This narrative invites you into the depths of that sacred calling, into the realm where the unseen threads of the unconscious begin to stitch together the paths of reunion, of deep transformation and of surrender. Get ready to embark on a journey where love isn't just a fleeting feeling, but rather a force of destiny, a mirror to the soul, a profound awakening. Leave a comment saying, "I believe in the power of true reunion." When we speak of true love as something inevitable, something sculpted by the hands of destiny itself, we step into the symbolic universe of Carl Jung's analytical psychology. According to Jung, significant encounters are never merely random. They are manifestations of the collective unconscious, a vast shared reservoir of human symbols, emotions, and archetypes made visible through the phenomenon of synchronicity. Synchronicities are those rare and powerful events that seem to defy logical explanation. They are not linked by direct cause and effect, but by meaningful coincidence, carrying a deep personal resonance for those who experience them. So, when two people come together unexpectedly, in a way that feels emotionally electric and inexplicably right, it's as though their souls had been in silent communion long before their physical meeting ever took place. In this light, true love becomes more than just an emotional experience. It becomes a mirror to the journey of individuation. That is, the lifelong psychological process through which each person seeks to become whole by integrating the disowned, denied, or projected aspects of themselves. Oftentimes, the person we fall deeply in love with becomes a living vessel for those projections, embodying either the anima or the animus, Jung's terms for the unconscious feminine or masculine aspects within each of us. When love arrives, we are often captivated not merely by the other, but by the parts of ourselves they awaken. In that person, we see something we have not yet claimed, something we've been searching for without knowing it. In this way, destiny is not a pre-written path, but an internal invitation to evolve. Love becomes the gateway to confront our own shadow, the hidden fears and denied desires, and at the same time, to witness the divine mirrored in the eyes of another. A true encounter of this kind doesn't care about timing, distance, or external limitations. It transcends them. It softens our defenses, transforms our wounds, and reveals forgotten layers of the self. This video explores exactly that, the deeper dimension of love, where the union of two souls is also a sacred inner reunion, a symbolic reflection of the archetypal journey that every human being is destined to undertake. There are periods in life when events seem perfectly orchestrated by a force beyond comprehension. A chance meeting, a glance exchanged in a crowded room, a brief conversation that somehow shifts the entire direction of your life. For Jung, these moments aren't accidents. They are what he called synchronicities, intersections where the fabric of the universe briefly folds in on itself, linking the inner world with the outer through meaningful coincidence. It is precisely in that invisible intersection between the internal and external that destiny begins to reveal itself. And love that arises from this hidden call does not arrive as a rational decision, but as something inevitable. When two souls converge in synchronicity, it feels like answering an ancient sacred call. Something stirs from deep within, a recognition not of the mind, but of the soul. Jung believed that within the collective unconscious lie archetypes, universal patterns of thought and experience, that occasionally take form through these symbolic encounters. In this landscape, love becomes one of the most powerful archetypes. It doesn't whisper, it resonates. It doesn't fade, it transforms. Fated meetings often come with a profound sense of remembrance. People who've experienced this often say things like, "I felt like I already knew them," or "It wasn't a first meeting. It felt like coming home." Synchronicity serves as a bridge between two worlds, connecting outer events with the soul's inner movement. When the world outside us begins to mirror what's happening within, we know destiny is beginning to unfold. These encounters tend to occur at threshold moments, during emotional transitions, at the end of a chapter, amid grief, change, or uncertainty. It is in these raw, quiet spaces that the unconscious becomes most active, guiding us to what we need, not necessarily what we want. Destiny is not strict or unmoving. It flows. It speaks through symbols. It places us again and again in front of the experiences that call us to healing and wholeness. True love, as an expression of that destiny, does not weaken with time nor disappear with circumstance. It remains, a subtle thread stretching across space and years, quietly pulling one soul toward another. Because in the end, love isn't about owning or defining another. It's about recognition. It's about seeing in the other a sacred reflection of something we've always carried but couldn't name. Jung reminded us that life is made of symbols, and the unconscious always speaks through them. The person we love often carries a symbolic weight that stirs forgotten parts of us, pieces hidden in our psyche, waiting to be awakened. So the real meeting isn't only between two people, it's a collision of two inner universes, two vast psychic landscapes that have been silently calling to each other, sometimes for lifetimes. This may be the reappearance of a primordial image, something rooted not only in personal memory, but in the ancient depths of the soul. When destiny calls, it doesn't scream, it whispers. It makes itself known through subtle signs, recurring dreams, powerful intuitions, strange coincidences, moments of déjà vu. Maybe that person appears in your thoughts without reason. Maybe you hear a song at the perfect time or dream of their face before ever seeing them. This isn't fantasy. It's the alignment of the inner and outer worlds, a dance of meaning, a reflection of the soul's silent longing. In this space, true love is not just a romantic story. It is the answer to a deep question you didn't even know you were asking. Destiny doesn't always follow the easiest route. Instead, it often challenges, destabilizes, and takes us out of our comfort zones. However, within this discomfort lies the potential for profound healing and self-discovery. The encounters that transform us are also the ones that heal us, as they bring us closer to who we truly are, not merely by filling emotional gaps, but by awakening us to a deeper purpose. True love, arising from destiny, isn't about simply completing us. It's about guiding us back onto the path of our soul, where time loses its significance and the truth of our emotions becomes the only compass we need. What we often label as passion is merely the beginning of a deeper journey, one of self-exploration. The intensity we feel for another person is not solely a reflection of their qualities, but also of the aspects of ourselves they reflect. According to Carl Jung, this phenomenon is known as projection, a psychological process where we unconsciously cast parts of our own inner selves onto someone else. In love, this projection reveals parts of us that we have either forgotten or suppressed, but which now come to light through our relationship with the other. Projection can be both magical and painful. It leads us to idealize the person we love, to see them as an almost mythical figure, tailor-made to complete us. This sense of completion is deeply seductive, and often it's nearly irresistible. However, as time passes, the projected image begins to unravel, and the true human being behind the mirror comes into focus. This is the moment where true love can begin to grow, if we are willing to recognize what has always been ours. Jung's concepts of the anima and animus are central to understanding this process. The anima represents the feminine aspect within a man, while the animus represents the masculine within a woman. These are not just psychological archetypes. They influence our fantasies, desires, and expectations in relationships. When we meet someone who embodies these inner images, an almost mystical force draws us to them. This attraction goes beyond physical desire or emotional connection. It's an archetypal recognition, an intuitive understanding at a deeper level. At this stage, love becomes something more than just a feeling. It is a rite of passage. It places us in front of another person, as if looking into a mirror. Every gesture, every silence, every reaction from the other becomes a reflection of ourselves. In this process, we begin to see ourselves more clearly. What we admire in the other may be a quality that we have yet to cultivate in ourselves, while what irritates or wounds us may represent aspects of our shadow, the hidden, rejected parts of our personality that still affect our choices and behaviors. The journey of individuation, a key concept in Jungian psychology, is precisely the integration of these different parts of ourselves. When love is authentic, it provides fertile ground for this integration. Love challenges our center, disturbs our certainty, and pushes us to look inward. This isn't always a comfortable form of love, but it's real. It is unafraid to reveal our flaws, to challenge us, and to transform us. The moment we realize that the image we had projected onto our partner no longer fits the reality of who they are, it can be painful. Feelings of frustration, disappointment, or even anger are common. But this stage is essential. The collapse of our projections is the gateway to conscious, true love. It is when we stop loving the idealized image and begin to love the real person, with all their imperfections, that love begins to blossom in its purest form. This love recognizes and embraces the other as they truly are, rather than as we wish them to be. Such a relationship becomes a space for mutual growth, where the other is no longer an idealized figure, but a real companion, walking beside us rather than ahead or behind us. The relationship transforms into a living laboratory for the soul, where every conflict presents an opportunity to deepen our self-awareness and expand our consciousness. The initial passion, with all its symbolic power, isn't discarded. Instead, it is transmuted into something deeper, more grounded, and more genuine. Love, at this point, evolves beyond being a mere fate. It becomes a path that requires courage, surrender, and most importantly, the willingness to see the other as they truly are. In doing so, we are also forced to see ourselves more honestly. Passion doesn't have to vanish, it simply changes form. When the projection has been integrated, what remains is a profound, conscious, and transformative connection, a love that not only beautifies life, but transforms it from the very roots. No profound relationship navigates through life without confronting its own abyss. True love isn't made up of only the gentle, radiant moments, but also of the darker, more challenging times. It calls us to explore the deepest, most shadowed parts of ourselves and our partner. In this invisible realm reside unhealed wounds, suppressed traumas, and denied desires, the very elements that make up what Carl Jung called the shadow. It is in the intimacy of meaningful relationships that this shadow is allowed to emerge. The shadow consists of everything we've had to repress to adapt to the world: fears, anger, jealousy, resentment, and desires considered unacceptable. In a loving relationship, these emotions often surface with unexpected intensity, as the close connection with another person makes us more vulnerable and exposed. Paradoxically, however, it is within this bond that we have the chance to confront aspects of ourselves we could never perceive on our own. The other person becomes a mirror, not only for what is beautiful in us, but also for what is wounded. Conflicts, misunderstandings, jealousy, and distrust are not signs of love's failure. Rather, they are invitations to greater awareness. These moments serve as opportunities for the shadow to be revealed so that we can finally understand, accept, and integrate it. The relationship itself becomes a symbolic battleground where the ego, along with its certainties and defenses, must yield to something far greater: transformation. True love endures this trial, though it is not an easy one. When the other person hurts or disappoints us, our initial reaction is the journey toward true love, the kind that transcends superficial attraction and emotional turbulence, is a path of deep transformation. It is a journey where both individuals, instead of merely filling the gaps within each other, come together as whole beings, ready to walk a shared path of self-discovery. In this bond, love becomes not a desire for possession, but a recognition of a profound connection, one that is rooted in mutual growth, respect, and understanding. True love isn't the kind that exists merely in moments of bliss or in the idealized visions of a perfect partner. It isn't about seeking to fill a void or find completeness in the other. Instead, it is the sacred meeting of two souls who are no longer driven by need or dependency, but by a shared desire for wholeness. This union is not based on perfection, but on acceptance, not on control, but on presence. When two people truly see each other, with eyes that have faced their own shadows and embraced their own flaws, love ceases to be just an emotional state. It becomes a sacred communion. In this deep bond, the relationship itself becomes a transformative force, one that challenges both individuals to grow, evolve, and confront their own unconscious projections. The dynamics of the ego give way to the dialogue of the soul, where every conflict, every challenge, becomes a chance for growth and integration. These moments, often seen as crises, are not barriers, but doors to a deeper understanding of oneself and the other. True love does not shy away from these challenges. It meets them with courage, patience, and a willingness to dive into the complexities of both the self and the relationship. As this union matures, love becomes less about the fleeting desires of the ego and more about a profound spiritual journey. The relationship transforms into something greater, something beyond mere companionship, as it becomes a process of individuation for both individuals. The journey of the soul is not one that can be rushed or measured by the ticking of the clock. True love, the kind that transcends time and circumstance, grows at its own pace, unfolding in its own way. It's not about rushing toward some final destination. It's about embracing the journey itself, with all its twists and turns, its moments of clarity and confusion. In this sacred bond, the other becomes not just a lover, but a teacher, a guide, and a mirror that reflects the deepest truths of the soul. They are not there to complete us, but to walk beside us, helping us to remember and reclaim the forgotten parts of ourselves. The reunion of souls, when it happens, is not some grand moment of finality, but an ongoing process of mutual awakening. It's not about finding someone who fits a preconceived image of who we think we need, but about encountering a soul that resonates with our own, recognizing in them the reflection of what has always been within us. This love is not bound by the fleeting whims of desire, but by a deeper awareness, an understanding that love is not about possession, but about presence. It's a bond that allows freedom, that encourages growth, and that nurtures the spirit of both individuals. It is in this freedom, this space of mutual respect and trust, that love flourishes. It is not about holding on too tightly or expecting perfection, but about offering space for the other to grow and evolve. When two people reach this level of connection, they become not just lovers, but living embodiments of a greater reality. They are not bound by the confines of everyday life, but by a shared understanding of the sacredness of their bond. This love is no longer simply about romantic gestures or fleeting moments of joy. It becomes a profound expression of the divine within each of us, a manifestation of the highest potential of the soul. Throughout this journey, we realize that true love is not a mere meeting of two people. It is a reunion with the deeper parts of our soul. It is a call to wholeness, a call that resonates within us and guides us toward integration. In the process, we learn to see the other not as someone to save us, but as a companion who walks beside us on the path of self-liberation. This journey, though challenging, is the path to true freedom, the freedom to love without needing, to be present without possessing, to grow without fear. True love is a conscious choice, a continual process of awakening and integration. It asks not for perfection, but for a willingness to walk the path with courage, with openness, and with a deep respect for the sacredness of the journey. When both individuals commit to this process, the love that emerges is not just a feeling, but a transformative force, one that transcends the limits of the ego and enters the realm of the divine. It is a love that does not seek to bind or control, but to free and empower. And in this freedom, love becomes a powerful tool for personal and spiritual transformation. When destiny calls, it does not call outward but inward. It invites us to confront our projections, face our shadows, and embrace the totality of our being. In this process, we are not merely finding love, we are rediscovering ourselves, reclaiming the lost parts of our soul, and moving toward the realization of our highest potential. This is the beauty of true love, the love that transcends the limitations of the ego, that calls us to wholeness, and that leads us to the deepest expression of our true selves. If this message has resonated with you, if something deep within you recognizes this call, consider subscribing to the channel and continue this journey of self-discovery. The video currently on screen has been chosen to deepen this process, guiding you further along the path to understanding and experiencing true love. Watch it through to the end, and let this awareness transform your life just as it is transforming your story now. Destiny has spoken. Now, it is your soul's turn to respond.